So organic chemistry, it is this type of chemistry that deals with organic molecules. All right. Have you ever heard of organic molecules anyway?
Yes.
Where have you heard of organic molecules, and what are organic molecules according to what you have heard?
In life science grade 10, you
So
learned about organic molecules. I think it was like protein and carbs and what? Not carbs, but like sugar or something like that.
Awesome, awesome. So, to those who are doing life sciences, they've probably learned of organic molecules in grade 10 as Orifa states. You guys learned of different organic compounds such as proteins, such as carbohydrates, such as lipids, and whatnot. But that is for those people who are doing life sciences or biology. But since you guys are not all doing life sciences and biology, let us just redefine it in physical sciences term. Okay, so when we're talking about organic molecules, we say that the organic molecules,
Carbon atoms.
yes, these are the molecules that contain carbon atoms. So it means that we have got a molecule that has got a carbon atom in it. Remember, guys, carbon is C on the periodic table. So whenever you see a molecule that is having a carbon atom in it, we say that is an organic molecule. For example, if I write this CH4, what is the name of this molecule, guys? You guys must know this already. What is the name of this molecule? CH4.
Methane.
Methane.
Yes, it's known as methane. What is its common name? What is the common name that we use to refer to methane?
Is it not methane?
Yes, that is the chemical name indeed. But what is the common name that we usually use to refer to it as?
Factory gas.
What?
I don't even know. Isn't it the gas from the factories?
It is known as a natural gas. So most of the times when we talk about natural gas, we are talking about methane. Okay, this is natural gas. This is its common name, but its chemical name is known as methane. The fact that this molecule contains at least a carbon atom in it, it means that it is an organic molecule. So basically, organic molecules are just those molecules that have got carbon atoms. What about this molecule? What is the name of this molecule? Let's just say this is C2, and I'm going to say this is C2H6. Okay, let's just say C2H5. All right, C2H5. Okay. Yeah, C2H5OH. What is the name of this molecule? You guys know it. C2H5OH.
It's something hydroxide.
Really? Guys, have you ever not seen such a molecule? Yes, Moko.
I think it's ethanol.
Yes, it is ethanol, guys. You are not supposed to claim it. Yeah, you guys are not supposed to claim it per se. I'm just trying to show you that we've got different types of molecules that have got carbon atoms in them. Yes, Sam?
We will say to use ethanol.
Well, she knows it, I'm sure. Okay, but you can answer for yourself, or whoever said it's ethanol. Mukobe, why did you say it's ethanol?
Because there are two carbon atoms.
Okay, all right, that's her reasoning.
And
yeah.
And then OH is what? What do you call that? OH is a functional group of alcohols.
Okay, that's so way complex, but you are still getting there. But basically, this is known as ethanol. So this molecule is known as ethanol. Ethanol is an alcohol. Okay, if you did life sciences in grade 11, you know alcohol, you know ethanol from cellular respiration. You guys remember that, right? From grade 11, cellular respiration, you have dealt with something known as ethanol. So ethanol is more like a compound that is found in alcohol. The alcohol that we drink each and every day, most of it consists of ethanol. but you guys shouldn't drink alcohol. I'm sure you guys are under 18s, so never touch alcohol. I hope that no one is touching alcohol in this video call, all right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, but the point is here, guys, each and every molecule that contain carbon atoms is known as an organic molecule. Besides carbon dioxide, we don't really classify carbon dioxide as an organic molecule per se, but that is for other reasons. But most of the chemicals or molecules that you would find out there, or compounds that you would find out there, will consist of a carbon atom. As long as there's a carbon in it, as long as there's a C, you guys can confidently say that this is an organic molecule. All right, let's just say we have got this scenario now. Other organic compounds contain carbon and hydrogen only. Okay, so there are some organic molecules that are only made up of carbon and hydrogen only. Guys, do you hear the word only? It means that in that compound, we do not expect to find any other element beside carbon and hydrogen. So these organic compounds, they are known as hydrocarbons. So hydrocarbons are what? Hydrocarbons, they are the organic compounds that contain carbon and hydrogen only. For example, if we look at natural gas, guys, if we look at natural gas, which is methane, this CH4, would you say that CH4 is a hydrocarbon?
Yes, sir.
Why would you say that it is a hydrocarbon, Sam?
Because of, sir, I only see carbon atoms and hydrogen atoms there.
Yes, guys, just look at its formula. Okay, the formula of methane, it is CH4, all right? So it means that you are having one carbon atom that is bonded to what? That is bonded to 4 hydrogen atoms. So it's one carbon atom bonded to 4 hydrogen atoms. So this will essentially tell you that this is a what? This is a hydrocarbon, because it consists of what? It consists of carbon and hydrogen only. What if I give you something like this? Okay, if we look at this, this is ethanol, right? Would you say that ethanol is a hydrocarbon?
No, sir.
Why is it not a hydrocarbon, Yonela?
It contains oxygen, sir.
Yes, it contains oxygen. When you look at this chemical formula of ethanol, you can see that there is some oxygen in it. There's an O, okay? But as for hydrocarbons, we must only be able to find 2 atoms. It is carbon and hydrogen atoms only, okay? If I give you a C2H4, this is known as ethene. This is known as ethene. So would you say that this molecule, which is known as ethene, is it a hydrocarbon or it is not a hydrocarbon?
Hydrocarbon.
Yes, it is a hydrocarbon because only carbon and hydrogen atoms are present. Do you see, guys, that here we've got 2 carbon atoms, 4 hydrogen atoms? Yes, Mukobe?
To ask, how do we know if we're naming it is if ethene has got double bond? So, you did say this C2H4 is ethene. How do you know that this molecular formula has got a double bond?
Well, don't worry, Mina, I know it, but we are still going to get to the nomenclature on how to name organic compounds later on. For now, we are just introducing them so that you guys get a basic of what are organic compounds. But I know that that is ethene, okay?
Yes.
Yeah, I know that the name of that compound is known as ethene. But do you guys get the sense of what a hydrocarbon is?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So now we need to understand how does carbon bond with other atoms, okay? So we need to understand how does carbon bond with other atoms. So the carbon atoms, they can be able to make single bonds, they can be able to make double bonds, they can be also able to make triple bonds with other elements, So you guys know that we have got three types of bonds, right? We have got this is more like the order of the bonds. We have got a single bond, we have got a double bond, we have got a triple bond, right? So when we want to represent a bond, we use a line to represent it. For example, I can say that carbon is bonded to hydrogen. So now I want to ask you guys, the bond between carbon and hydrogen here, is it a single bond, double bond, or a triple bond?
Single bond.
It's a single bond because we are only using one line to represent.
One line.
Yes, Orifa?
So are we in organic chem? Do we work with covalent bonds, or like what bonds are we working with here?
Okay, so here we are working with covalent bonds only.
So in organic chem, we only work with the covalent bonds.
Yeah, in this organic chemistry that you guys will do, you guys are only going to do covalent bonding. You will not do ionic bonding. You will not do metallic bonding. You just need to know that if it happens that you want to do something that has to do with chemistry after high school. But as for your as for your grade 12 particularly, we are dealing with covalent bonds only. But in grade 10, you guys learned of the three types of bonds, right? The covalent, the ionic, and the metallic. You guys remember that, right? Cool. So here, this is a single covalent bond between a carbon and a hydrogen atom. So when we put one line or one dash between carbon and hydrogen, it means that carbon is making a single bond with hydrogen atom. So carbon atoms, they are able to make single bonds with other atoms. They are also able to make double bonds with other atoms. Okay, let's say we have got carbon that is double bonded to oxygen. Okay, you know that oxygen always take a double bond from your grade 11, right? So to represent that, you can see that we are using two dashes. So carbon can be able to make a double bond with the what? With other elements as well, or with other atoms. But carbon can also be able to make triple bonds. So these are your double bonds. Carbon can also be able to make triple bond with other element. So if I have got carbon, it can be triple bonded with another element such as nitrogen. Okay, and we use three lines to represent that. So when you've got three lines, this is 1, 2, 3. So these are three lines between the carbon and the nitrogen atom to show that here the bond between these two, it is a triple bond. It means that they are bonded 3 times in a way. Okay, they are bonded 3 times. It's a triple bond. So do you see that, guys? Carbon, it is the master. Carbon is more like the master of all elements in the periodic table, because carbon can be able to do single bonds. It can also do double bonds as well as triple bonds. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
So now the double bonds and the triple bond, we say these are known as what? As multiple bonds. So when you hear the term multiple bonds, we are talking about either a double bond or a triple bond. Okay, so when you've got a double bond between two atoms, or we have got a triple bond between our two atoms, we just say it's known as a multiple bond. Multiple simply means it's more than one bond. Do you guys kind of get the sense? Like, for example, in a double bond, we have got 2 bonds, right? So it's more than one. So you won't call it a single bond, it's a double bond. So it's more like a multiple bonds. There are more bonds than one. Do you guys get the sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So now carbon, now let's be specific more about carbon. Carbon needs to always make 4 bonds with other elements in order to be stable. So basically, for carbon to be stable enough, it needs to make how many bonds in total? 4 bonds in total. And we have said already that each and every chemical bond, we represent it or we draw it using a dash or using a line. You can just call it a dash or a line. So carbon, for it to be stable, to be in a stable state, okay, it needs to at least bond with 4 other elements, or it needs to make 4 bonds in total. So when you count the bonds around a carbon atom, there must be how many bonds in total? 4 bonds. If there are not 4 bonds, that carbon atom, it is not stable. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
So to represent that, if I've got carbon, you guys know that hydrogen, you guys know that hydrogen can only make single bonds. You guys are aware of that, right?
Yes.
So how many hydrogens would I need to bond with carbon here for me to for this carbon to be stable?
4.
4 of them. So if I have a hydrogen here represented by a line, this is their bond. If I have another hydrogen here, if I have got another hydrogen here, and if I have got the last hydrogen here, this carbon is now a stable carbon. It is in its stable state, okay? It is because it is surrounded by at least 4 bonds. Look at this. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. You just count the number of lines. The number of lines is the number of bonds, because these lines, they are representing bonds. Each single line is a single bond. So carbon must have at least this number of bonds. And you guys can see that this is methane. Do you guys see that this is a structure of methane?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, guys, because we have got 1 carbon and we have got 4 hydrogens. That's why methane is it's a stable compound. But you will never find something like CH3. This does not exist because the carbon must have 4 bonds around it. So if we only put 3 hydrogens, we cannot have a stable compound from that. Are we together, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes. This is not only achieved using single bonds, we can also use double bonds to achieve the same result. If we have got something like, let's just say we have got carbon, and then this carbon, it is bonded to another carbon, and then this is bonded. Okay, so let's just say this one is bonded to another carbon. Now we say that this carbon, it is double bonded to oxygen. And then here I'm going to put hydrogen and another hydrogen here and another hydrogen here and another hydrogen here. This is now another compound, okay? We are just connecting these compounds, okay? Let's look at these guys one by one. If we look at the first carbon number 1 here, how many bonds are surrounding it? How many lines can you see around this yellow highlighted carbon in diagram 2? 4 bonds, right? So we can say that it is stable. We can say that it is stable, right?
Yes.
Let's move on to the second one. This second carbon, how many lines are surrounding it? 4. So you can say that it is what? It is stable. Okay. Let's look at this green carbon here. How many lines are surrounding it?
3.
3 lines, guys, because if we count, this is 1, 2, 3. So it's 3 lines surrounding it. So is this green carbon stable? No, it is not stable, all right? So there must be at least another 1 bond here to be able to make it a stable one, okay? So you just count the number of bonds around the carbon. Always make sure that the carbon atom, it has got at least 4 bonds. Okay, it doesn't always have to be single bonds. You can also use triple bond and say that you've got, this is a carbon that is triple bonded to another carbon that is bonded to a hydrogen that is bonded to a hydrogen. Let's look at molecule number 3. Okay, let's look at molecule number 3. When you look at molecule number 3, guys, this is a carbon. How many lines or how many bonds are surrounding this carbon? 4. You can see them, guys, right? This is 4. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got 4 of them. What about the second carbon, which is this one, this yellow highlighted one?
It's got 4 bonds.
Also 4. So this is a molecule that exists because we have got a stable carbon. In this case, this molecule is known as C2H4. This is its formula. All right, so you guys need to know that whenever carbon makes a bond, it must have what? It must have 4 bonds in total. But remember that carbon can make single bonds, it can make double bonds, or it can make triple bonds. Yes, Mukobe?
So I wanted to ask, how is it C2H4 because we've got only 2 hydrogens?
Oh, it's C2H2. Sorry. It's C2H2 there. It's just my mistake. Don't worry, we're still going to the formulas. Okay, let's look now at this one. It's a bit interesting. We have got saturated. We also have got unsaturated compounds. So once you understand single bonds, double bonds, and triple bonds, now we can move to saturated and unsaturated compounds. So when we say that we have got a saturated organic compound, these are the organic compounds that do not have multiple bonds between their carbon atoms. In other ways, we are trying to say that only single bonds are existing between the carbon atoms. Let's give an example by giving a diagram or a structural formula. If I give you this carbon and this carbon bonded together and this carbon bonded together, and I just make a 1, 2, 3, 4 carbons, and then I put 4 bonds around each one of them. So we have got 4 bonds around each on every carbon. Okay, all right. So guys, here we are having a molecule. This is an organic molecule that is consisting of 4 carbons, and it has got, you can count the number of hydrogens, but I know them, it has got 10 hydrogens in total. This is one compound that is known as butane. Okay, so this compound, we classify it as a saturated. This is a saturated organic compound. Why do we say that it is saturated? When you look at saturated versus unsaturated, you need to take a careful look on the bonds between the carbon atoms. Guys, look at this. This is carbon number 1, right? This is carbon 1, and then I will say this is carbon 2, and then I will say that this is carbon 3, and I will say that this is carbon 4. So this has got 4 carbons in its chain. It's known as butane, this compound, all right? So look at this. When you look at this, guys, the bond between carbon 1 and carbon 2, what type of bond is it? What is the order of that bond?
It's a single bond.
It's a single bond, guys, because we can only see one dash or one line between these 2 carbon atoms. What about the bond between carbon 2 and carbon 3? This one.
Also a single bond state.
Also a single bond. Do you guys see that?
Yes, sir.
What about the bond between carbon 3 and carbon 4? This one.
Single.
Also single bond, guys. So basically we say that this is known as a saturated organic compound. It's a saturated one, or you can say it's a saturated hydrocarbon because it has got only carbon and hydrogen. There's nothing else. So it's a saturated hydrocarbon, or it's a saturated organic compound. So do you see that, guys? For us to say that a compound is saturated, an organic compound is saturated, you look at the bonds between the carbon atoms, guys. You don't look at any other bonds. You look at the bonds between the what? The carbon atoms. Don't look at hydrogen. Look at the carbon atoms alone to say that between carbon 1 and carbon 2, how many bonds are we having? Between carbon 2 and carbon 3, how many bonds are we having? Between carbon 3 and carbon 4, how many bonds are we having? If we have got only single bonds, then we can say that this is a saturated hydrocarbon, or it's a saturated organic compound. Are we together, guys?
Yes, sir.
All right, so if I were to give you something like this, C, 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 and then now I put a double bond oxygen here, and I put here a hydrogen here, I put here a hydrogen here, I put here a hydrogen, I put a hydrogen, another hydrogen, another hydrogen. Okay, first of all, look at all the carbons. Do all of them have got 4 bonds around them? That's my question. Do all of
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, right. So this is a molecule that exists. It means that it is a stable molecule, and its formula is actually C3 because we've got 3 carbons, we have got 6 hydrogens, then we've got an oxygen. So this is its a molecular formula. All right. So we are having this compound. Now I'm asking you guys, this compound, which is known as a propanone, that is the name. It is known as 2-propanone. That is the name of this compound. Is the compound 2-propanone saturated or unsaturated? Think about the answer before you reply. Is it saturated or unsaturated?
Saturated.
Saturated.
Okay, to those who are saying that it's a saturated organic compound, why?
Because carbons, between the carbons is single bonds between each of the carbons.
Yes.
The only double bond between carbon and oxygen, and that doesn't count as like
yes,
that
guys.
answer.
Exactly. Although we have got a double bond between this carbon and this oxygen, but we do not look at it, guys. We only focus on the bonds between the carbon atoms. So between carbon 1 and carbon 2, we've got a single bond. Between carbon 2 and carbon 3, we also have got a single bond. So all the carbon atoms in this organic compound, they've got only single bonds between them. Are we hearing each other, guys? There are no multiple bonds. Remember, guys, I told you about what multiple bonds are, right? Multiple bonds is double bond and triple bond. So if I say there are no multiple bonds, it means that we only have got single bonds. Are we guys together in this so far?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, just a quick question before we go there, guys. This compound, which is known as a 2-propanone, this one, is this a saturated hydrocarbon? Can I say this is a saturated hydrocarbon?
Oh,
Why not?
Yes, sir.
yes. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So it's a saturated hydrocarbon.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Why do you say it's a saturated hydrocarbon?
Because of
Wait.
there is no multiple. Okay.
Yes, it is
There is
saturated.
no.
I hear you, but is it a hydrocarbon?
No.
Oh,
sir.
no, it's not a hydrocarbon.
Guys, please mind the terms. When they ask you and they say, is this a saturated hydrocarbon? They are not only asking you if it is saturated or not. You have to also look whether it is having carbon and hydrogen atoms only or not. So this is just a saturated organic compound. Don't tell me about hydrocarbon here. But the first one, it is a saturated hydrocarbon because it has got only a hydrogen and carbon atoms. Okay. And then the opposite is true for the unsaturated one. So the organic compounds that are classified as unsaturated, they are classified as unsaturated when there is at least one multiple bond between the carbon atoms. It means that we have got at least one multiple bond. And guys, I've already told you what are the multiple bonds. Guys, what are the multiple bonds? I repeat now.
So it's the double and the triple bonds.
Yes, so multiple bonds simply means that it's a double or it's a triple bond. So if we have got a double or a triple bond in a compound between the carbon atoms, then we can now say that it's an unsaturated one. For example, if I say that I've got carbon here, bonded to carbon, and we have got a couple of 2 hydrogens here, then we have got 1 hydrogen here, then we have got 1 here, 1 here. You guys can see that this is a saturated hydrocarbon. Is it saturated? This one?
Yes.
No.
Is it
No,
saturated?
it's unsaturated.
It's unsaturated. So this is an unsaturated hydrocarbon. Why do we say that this is an unsaturated hydrocarbon?
Because there's a double bond between the
Yes.
carbons.
Yes, guys, there's a double bond. So now you are answering specific to this particular example to say that when there is at least a double bond between 2 carbon atoms, then you can say it's unsaturated. All right, so this is an unsaturated hydrocarbon because there is at least a double bond between these two carbons here. What about if I give you something like this and I say this is H, this is C, and then this is triple bond C, this is C, and then this is H, this is H, this is H. Okay, would you say that this propine, this is known as propine, or is otherwise known as propylene, would you say that propylene is an unsaturated or is a saturated hydrocarbon?
Unsaturated.
Yes, it's an unsaturated hydrocarbon. For what reason would you say that?
There's a triple bond between the two carbons.
Yes, guys, that's how you answer question. Okay, don't just say that it is because it an unsaturated compound has got a multiple bond. No, that's being general, or that's defining it. But in this case, you have to identify it from the given molecular formula or from the given structural formula to say, hi man, can I see the triple bond here? Is there a triple bond? Is there a multiple bond here? In this case, the multiple bond that is present is a what? Is a triple bond. So you can say that it is what? It is unsaturated. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Zoom is going to take us to a quick 10 minutes break.
Hey Lapo, I know that you've been enjoying this wonderful video and most likely you've been enjoying watching this handsome face in front of you, but sorry ladies, I'm taken. I just here to tell you that Educate is on the road to 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. So please click the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you get notifications whenever I post new videos. I want you guys to pass. Okay, so if you make my dream true, I reach 100k subscribers, I will make your dreams come true. I will even get you to varsity. I will get you with 7 distinctions. Yes.
So we are now doing the types of chemical formulas. Okay, or you can say the type of chemical formulae. No, it's chemical formulas, it's fine. It's just a plural. You guys will do your English research on whether it's formulas or formulae. So we've got the types of chemical formulas. So how do you represent an organic compound? We have got 3 ways or 3 chemical formulas that we use. The first one, it is known as the structural formula. All right. So when you define the structural formula, you say that the structural formula shows which atoms are attached to which within the molecule using lines to represent the bonds. This is exactly what we've been doing, guys, all along. When we are talking about the structural formula of a compound, for example, if I tell you to give me the structural formula, let's just write a structural formula such as C, 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 and just say this is H, H, H. Okay, so this organic compound that I am writing is structural formula for. It is known as propane, guys. It's known as propane, this organic compound. So propane, we have drawn its structural formula because this is a formula that is showing each and every atom. Like here we've got a carbon atom, and it is also showing us that the carbon atom, it is attached to the hydrogen atom, it is attached to this other hydrogen atom, and this other hydrogen atom, and this carbon atom. Okay, so basically a structural formula shows you which atom is bonded to which atom, and each and every bond, it is represented by a line. So basically the lines are used to represent each bond. So basically what we have been drawing all along, like here, all of these are structural formulas of the compounds. Are we clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, so a structural formula is simply a chemical formula whereby I show you that we are having carbon that is triple bonded to carbon, okay, and this carbon is single bonded to hydrogen, and this carbon, maybe it is a single bonded to another hydrogen. This is an example of a compound. This is a ethine, okay, this is ethine. So this ethine compound is a what? we have drawn its structural formula. We actually written its structural formula. You don't say you are drawing it, you are writing it, okay? So this is the structural formula of ethine. So the name of this compound is ethine or ethylene, but we have drawn its structural, we have written its structural formula. So a structural formula is simply a formula that will show you which atoms you have in the compound, such as here we've got carbon and we've got carbon, and it will also show you that this carbon is bonded to the hydrogen using lines to represent the bonds. So if you see lines representing bonds, then this tells you that this is a what? It's a structural formula. Yeah, it's a quite simple, quite simple one, that one. All right. Then we have got a structural condensed formula. They can say structural condensed formula, or they will just say condensed formula. So the structural condensed formula, it shows the way in which the atoms are bonded together in a molecule, but it does not show all the bond lines. So it doesn't show all the bond lines. It doesn't show any lines. Remember, guys, that the structural formula of a chemical compound, it was showing bonds using lines. I'm sure we said that each and every line, it represents a single bond. Each and every line here, it is showing that this is a single bond. This is in a structural formula. But now when we convert this into a condensed formula, it will show you which atoms are, it will show you the way the atoms are bonded, but it won't show any line. Let's make an example. So I'm going to draw the structural formula of a compound, and I'm going to say that this is one structural formula that I will draw. Let's just say this is a double bond. This is H. This is H. And then this is H. This is H. This is H. This is H. Guys, what is this? What is the name of this formula that I've just written right now?
CH3.
Oh, no, not. I'm saying the type of formula it is. What is the type of formula that I've just written? The one that I've shown here, the one that uses lines to show how atoms are bonded.
That's a structural.
Structurally.
So this is a structural formula of one compound. Now, if I say give me the structural condensed formula, or if I say give me the condensed formula of this compound, so I'm having this compound here, and I want you guys to give me the condensed formula. In the condensed formula, what do? You look at the carbons first. Here you have got the first carbon. This is carbon number 1. Do you guys see this? This is carbon number 1, right? For now, this is carbon 1, right?
Yes.
Yes. For now, we haven't done functional groups, so don't stress about the counting. But this is carbon 1, carbon 2, carbon 3. I'm saying for now because we are still going to show you how do you count the carbons. Is it from left to right or from right to left? But we'll see that later on. For now, let's just say this is the first carbon, the yellow highlighted one. This is the second one, and this one is the third one. So the first carbon, I'm just going to write a C on it. And I count how many hydrogens are bonded to this carbon, guys. Count them. How many hydrogens are bonded to this carbon? 3 hydrogens. You see, I'm going to write C and I'm going to write H3. I'm trying to say that I've got 1 carbon bonded to 3 hydrogens. Then now, this carbon, it is further bonded to another carbon. This one, carbon number 2. I'm sure carbon number 2, it is bonded to carbon number 1, right? Do you see that?
Yes.
So without showing any lines, I'm just going to write carbon. This is the second carbon without showing any lines. Remember, this one does not show all the bond lines. It doesn't show any bond line here. We just write which carbon is bonded to how many other elements. In this case, the first carbon, the yellow highlighted one, is bonded to 3 hydrogens. It's 1, 2, 3. That's why we wrote CH3 here. We didn't show any lines for the bonds. Do you see that?
Yes.
Now talk about this second carbon, carbon number 2. How many hydrogens is it bonded to?
One.
1. So you are just going to write only one H. Okay, there's only one H. And then after the hydrogen, what else is this carbon number 2 bonded to? Besides hydrogen, besides this hydrogen, what else is this carbon number 2 bonded to?
To carbon.
Carbon number 3, right? This one, carbon number 3 is also bonded to carbon number 2. And this is a double bond. So there is a double bond here between carbon 2 and carbon 3. Do you see that?
Yes.
So now I'm on carbon 3. I will write carbon 3 here. And I will look at carbon 3 and say, how many hydrogens is carbon 3 bonded to?
2.
2.
So I'm going to write hydrogen and I'm going to say 2 of them. I put a subscript to represent how many atoms of hydrogens I have that are bonded to this carbon. So this is now what we call a what? This is a structural condensed formula, or they can just say it's a condensed formula. So this is a structural condensed formula. Is it hard to make, guys?
No.
You just look at the carbon. You start with the carbon always, guys. You don't start and tell me hydrogen 3 carbon. No, don't write anything like this. You start with the carbon first. Yes, Sam.
So say Aseti, they gave you the complex diagram. They overlap carbon. How would you draw it? How would you write the condensed structure?
Overlap carbon in what way?
Like things you say about carbon le this first carbon.
Yeah.
They said C katabati. They instead of a hydrogen one katabati C 40 katabenza carbons ganjalo se.
Okay. I was still going to get to how side chains work, but I can give you a complex one, as you say. So let's have something like this: C, and let's have C, let's have C, let's have C. Now, Sam said we should do a complex diagram. Let's now do a complex diagram. Is this complicated, guys? The diagram, does it look complicated?
No,
sir.
it doesn't. So it just looks like the previous ones you drew, but then you just decided, instead of making it a straight line, you made it something like an angle.
Okay, that's something. All right, so let's look at this, guys, and try to do. I'm sure this is a structural formula. Can you all agree that this is the structural formula? This one?
Yes.
Yes, because it is showing us the bond lines and everything. This is your structural formula. Now we want to convert this to a condensed structural formula. What are we going to do here? We are going to start with carbon number 1, this first carbon here. We start with the first carbon. We are going to write carbon here, C. And now we're going to look at this carbon. When we look at carbon number 1, how many hydrogens is carbon number 1 bonded to?
3.
3. So it's 1, 2, 3. So we've got 3 hydrogens bonded to it. So I'm going to write CH3. Then after these 3 hydrogens, what follows for carbon number 1 after carbon 1?
Carbon number.
We have got another carbon, right? Carbon number 2, right?
Yes, sir.
So this is carbon number 2. So we are going to write carbon C for carbon number 2, and we are going to look at what is it bonded to. But it is recommended that you always start with what? With hydrogens, okay? But in this case, look at this, guys. This carbon number 2, it is bonded to a hydrogen, but at the same time, it is bonded to another carbon that is bonded to 3 hydrogens. Do you kind of see that?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So whenever a carbon, it is bonded to one, you can see that this carbon, the one highlighted in light green, is kind of moving downwards, right, from carbon 2.
Yes.
Yes. So you put it in a bracket. You put it in a bracket because it is kind of a side chain. It is not in a straight line. Remember, guys, that we are considering the carbons that are in a straight line. For now, let's just consider carbon 1, carbon 2, and carbon 3, the ones that are found in this straight chain. Do you see the straight chain?
Yes.
So if there's a carbon that is moving out of this straight chain, such as this one, we're just going to consider it as a side chain or something that is a sort of like a branch. Do you kind of get the idea?
Yes.
So we put a bracket to represent that. And now we look at what? We look at this branch. So this branched carbon, it is a carbon that has got how many hydrogens?
3.
3 hydrogens.
Yes, 3. But remember, guys, start with hydrogen here. This carbon 2, it is bonded to 1 hydrogen here, right? So write the hydrogen.
Yes.
And then look at it. It is bonded to a carbon with 3 hydrogens. So you are going to put that in a bracket and say this is a carbon with 3 hydrogens. The fact that you have put it in a bracket in this way, this bracket, it is indicating that this carbon, this CH3 or this carbon with 3 hydrogens, it is a side chain. It is not really in the same line as the carbons that we are using here in this case. It is kind of going in a sideways, in a side chain. You kind of get the sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
A
sir.
little bit, right? Yeah, it's fine. But when we do different types of chains, you guys are going to understand this better. But for now, let's just try to get the notion of what a condensed formula is. When you continue, you go to carbon number 3. This is carbon number 3. I'm going to write carbon C. And how many hydrogens is carbon number 3 bonded to?
2.
2 hydrogens. So you are going to write CH2. So this is your what? This is your structural condensed formula.
Okay.
Yeah, but don't worry, when we do side chains, you're going to understand this better on what is this carbon that is going in the side. Yes, Tahaso?
So since we have like a double bond between the carbon atoms, when we do our condensed formula, like aren't we showing the double bond?
No, you shouldn't show it because it says it does not show all the bond lines. Never show the bond lines.
Okay.
Yes, just tell us which atom is bonded to how many of which atom. Only tell us that we've got carbon bonded to 2 hydrogens, bonded to another carbon, bonded to 3 hydrogens, and what. Never show any lines. Never draw any bond lines to show that there is a bond between this and this. That is for a structural formula.
Okay, sir.
All right. So I hope that we are all understanding the structural formula. Then the simplest one, it is the one that you've learned from your grade 6, the molecular formula. So the molecular formula, it is the simplest one because this one indicates, this molecular formula, it does what? It indicates the element and the numbers of each of the atoms in a molecule. So when we are having a molecule, I'm going to draw a formula here. And I'm going to say that we have got C bonded to H, bonded to H. Okay, it's fine. Let's just say C bonded to H. And then now I say this is bonded to another H here and another H here, bonded to C, and another H here, another H here, another H here, another H here, and lastly another H here. So do you realize that each and every carbon has got 4 bonds around it here?
Yes, sir.
All right. So what type of formula is this? The formula that I've written?
Structural.
Yes, this is the structural formula of this compound. This is a structural formula of this compound. This compound is the name of this compound is propane. All right. So you've got the structural formula of propane. Now, thing is, we want to now convert it into a molecular formula. The molecular formula only requires you to indicate the element symbol and give us how many atoms do we find how many atoms of that element do we find in that molecule. For example, here, if we look at the elements that we have here, we have got carbon atoms, right? So it means we do have some carbon element in it, right? So how many of carbon atoms do we have here? How many carbon atoms do we have in this particular structural formula?
3.
3, guys. You count them like you literally count them one by one. It's 1, it's 2, it's 3, because a molecular formula must show the numbers of each of the atoms in a molecule. So count one by one. It's 1, 2, 3 carbons. And how many hydrogens can you see from this structural formula?
8.
So we are seeing 8 hydrogens. If you count them, you're gonna count them. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is C3H8. This is known as the what? The molecular formula. So the molecular formula, it just shows you which element are we having, and it will also show you how many atoms of that element do we have in a molecule. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Let's say I give you this as CH3, and I say this is CH2, and then I say this is CH3. Okay, now I say this formula that I've just written now, what is the name of the formula? What type of formula is it? What type of chemical formula is it?
Condensed.
This is a what?
Condensed.
Yes, it's a structural condensed. Guys, why is this not a molecular formula? Because someone attempted to say it's a molecular. Why? Why not? Why don't we say that this is a molecular formula?
Well, sir, a molecular formula indicates, it simplifies the condensed structure.
Nice. Briefly explain what is the simplify there, or how does it simplify?
Okay, so for an example, if we simplify this one, we are going to have 6 carbons and 2, 4, and 8 hydrogens.
Yes, yeah. So basically, a molecular formula, you must only tell us that there is some carbon atoms. Just write only one C atom, one C for the element, right? I'm sure you guys know the difference between an element and an atom. If not, go into your grade 10, review the work there, or go to your younger brothers and sisters in grade 10 and ask them to assist you, tell you what's the difference between an atom and an element. So this C is representing the carbon element, and then now you count how many atoms of the carbon element do you have here. In this case, a structural condensed formula, you see that this carbon is repeated multiple times. In a molecular formula, you don't have to continue repeating the carbon many times and showing us what is it bonded to. Just tell us how many the total number of carbons present in this particular formula. In this case, this particular formula has got how many carbons, this condensed formula? 4, because you can say it's 1, it's 2, it's 3, it's 4. They will literally count them right from here. It's like 4 carbons there. So this is 4 carbons. And how many hydrogens do we have in this condensed formula?
11.
11. Nice, that's quick. Here we've got 3 hydrogens plus 2 hydrogens, that's 5, plus 2 hydrogens, that's 7, plus 3 hydrogens, that's 10. So we actually have 10. Yes, so we have got 10 hydrogens in total. So this is your what? This is your molecular formula. So it is easy to convert, guys. The molecular formula, it is the simplest because it just tells you the total number of atoms that we have. Yes, Sam?
So, sir, they can give you a molecular formula and they say draw the structural formula.
Yes, they can give you the molecular formula and they say draw the structural formula. But at this point, can you be able to do that?
No, sir.
Really?
Yes.
You guys can be able to draw. Like if I give you a molecular formula and I say draw the structural formula, all of you can be able to draw that.
Yes.
Nice. Okay. Let me give you this one. If I tell you to draw C2H4, how would you draw this? How would you convert this molecular formula to a structural formula?
You
So are you
give
not just gonna look at the valencies, like your valence electrons, and then you're gonna do the Lewis diagram, and then you're just gonna replace it with a line?
That's a good approach. That's a good approach. Detailed approach, actually. It's a wonderful one. Yes, you can use that one. Do you guys still remember how to do that?
Yes.
Okay, so if you still remember how to do the Lewis dot diagram, it's going to be very simple for you. But for organic chemistry purposes, you don't have to stress yourself doing all of that, guys, because later on we are still going to learn of the general formula. We are still going to learn of isomers. So the things that you have learned in grade 11 about the Lewis dot diagrams, your knowledge is just going to further broaden up a bit when we get to it, all right?
Yes.
yes.
So let's now go to the types of the organic compounds that we have, right? So we have got 9 types or 9 classes or 9 classifications or 9 categories of organic compounds. And these 9 types of organic compounds, they make up the homologous series. So whenever you hear of the term homologous series, we are talking about the category of organic compounds. So we have got 9 categories of organic compounds. We say that is known as a what? As a homologous series. So when you define a homologous series in a formal way, you say it is a series of organic compounds that can be described by the same general formula or in which one member differs from the next with a CH2 group. This is the full definition, usually for 2 marks. For now, you might not be able to understand the definition properly because you are having new terms such as general formula. I don't know if you know what a general formula is. And also, you don't know this part which says one member differs from the next with the CH2 group. So for now, we cannot use the knowledge that we have learned for this session to be able to fully express this definition. But you guys should just know that in simple terms, the homologous series is more like the category or the type of organic compound that we'll be talking about at a particular point in time. How to get?
Yes.
So we have got the homologous series. It consists of these 9 types or 9 categories of organic compounds. So we've got organic compounds known as alkanes. We have got organic compounds known as alkenes. Don't confuse the names. The first one is what? Alkanes. The second one is alkenes. You get the sense, right?
Yes. Alkaline.
The third one are known as alkynes. So it's alkanes, alkenes, alkynes. Are we getting the sense?
Yes.
And then the fourth one are known as haloalkanes. Haloalkanes. There's just a halo. The fifth one is alcohols. That is what you like, guys. Alcohols. Alcohols. Such as ethanol. Ethanol is an example of an alcohol that you find in a savanna dry. We have got carboxylic acids. We have got carboxylic acids. Okay, those are that's one of the categories. You know, carboxylic acids such as they are found also in your vinegar, for example. You guys know vinegar, right? Vinegar consists of some carboxylic acid, ethanoic acid actually in it. So you guys should know that we have got acids known as carboxylic acids. We also have got aldehydes. Aldehydes. We have got ketones. Then lastly, we have got esters. So there are 9 categories of organic compounds which we refer to them as the homologous series. All right.
Yes.
Okay, so just to put some pointers here, the first three organic compound types, or the first three homologous series, the alkanes, alkenes, alkynes, we say these are known as what? These are the hydrocarbons. All of them, they are what? They are hydrocarbons. So what does this mean, guys?
They only consist of
Yes, so they only consist, guys, don't just say they consist of carbon and nitrogen. You say they only, we want the only. So it means that alkanes, alkenes, and alkynes, these are the organic molecules that have got only carbon and hydrogen in them. Are we together?
yes.
And then the haloalkanes, we say that they contain halogens. We say these ones, they contain what? They contain halogens. What are halogens, guys?
Just know that they're found in group 7.
Yeah, before the noble gas.
Number
Yes, you guys learned that in grade 10, that on the periodic table, group number 7 or group number 17, okay, it depends on which periodic table you are using. If you are using the old one, it's group number 7, but the latest one is group number 17. We have got examples such as fluorine, chlorine, iodine, bromine. All of those are known as halogens. So the haloalkanes, yes.
So are the diatomic elements all halogens? Except hydrogen.
Well, no. The diatomic gases are not always halogens. Oxygen is a diatomic gas. Nitrogen is a diatomic gas, but they are not found on group number 7. They are not halogens. Not all of them.
Okay, so.
Yes. And then you guys just need to know this for now, that the alkanes, alkenes, alkynes, they are hydrocarbons. It means that these ones, they contain what? They contain hydrogen and carbon only. The haloalkanes, they've got what? Halogens. As for the others, don't worry about them. We are still going to figure out what do they have later on. And to be able to conclude for today, we now ask ourselves, how do we differentiate between different organic compounds? I'm sure, guys, we say that we've got 9 types or 9 different organic compounds. How do we differentiate between them? Like, let's say, how do we differentiate between a girl and a boy?
So you look at the features and the characteristics, like the physical characteristics.
Yes, just like how you differentiate a boy and a girl, you look at the physical features. The boys are likely to have hoarse voices. The girls are likely to have light voices. That's correct, right? Yeah. Or the physical appearance of a girl and a boy are different from one another. So basically, we have got certain features that we look at to be able to differentiate between two things. In this way, how do we differentiate between these 9 different categories of organic compounds or series of organic compounds? We use a functional group. So each and every homologous series, I'm sure we've got 9 of them in total. So each and every homologous series, it has got its own functional group. So there's this thing that is known as a functional group that you use to identify, this is an alkane, this is an ester, this is an alcohol, this is an alkene, this is a haloalkane. So they've got what? A functional group. So a functional group is more like, what do you use to identify the category of organic compounds? I'm sure you've got 9 categories. You still remember that, right?
Yes.
Exactly. So how do you define a functional group formally? You say that a functional group is a bond, is either a bond, or it's an atom, or it's a group of atoms that determines the physical and chemical properties of a group of organic compounds. So the functional group, it is the one that determines the physical and chemical properties. Okay, We have got many physical properties, guys. We use chemicals each and every day. When you are washing your uniform, you are using chemicals, okay? When you are cleaning your desk, you are using chemicals, okay? How are you using chemicals? Those chemicals have got certain physical properties. You guys cannot take let's just say, for example, what can you say? You guys cannot take body lotion and use it to clean the floor. Can you do that?
No.
No, it is because it has got certain physical properties, so it cannot apply on cleaning the floor. It can only apply on radiating your skin. So basically, there's that bond or that atom or that group of atoms that determine the physical properties and chemical properties of certain organic compounds. So it is that which we use to identify or to differentiate between different organic compounds. So please note the functional group, it is a sign that we look at for us to say that no man, this is an alkane, no man, this is an alkene, no man, this is an alcohol, and so forth and so on. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah. So remember, guys, this was an introduction. I don't want to overwhelm you yet. But when we come back, don't worry, I will overwhelm you definitely. When we come back next time, we will do each and every one of them from alkanes until we reach esters. 9 of them. And then after that, we have to do their naming. After doing their naming, we have to do their physical and chemical properties. And later on,
In one day, sir.
No, not in one day. That is for your whole term. Yeah, so for the June exam, for the June and the November exam and the September one, organic chemistry holds about 60 marks out of 150. So you guys must really put a lot of effort into this topic. All right?
Yes.
Yes, but as for today, let's call it a day. Let's call it a night. As for tonight, of course, we've got 1 minute remaining according to our Zoom countdown timer. Please give us a word of prayer. Please give us a word of prayer as we sleep.
Okay, guys, can we close our eyes and bow our heads?
Yes.
Tate shoma godimo mara wa lekgetho. Mosho ga otlhe thata go a itiragala mo lefatsheng jaaka e diragala godimo.